Dana Obleman is a psychologist who works with children and their parents to solve kids' sleep problems. If you have ever had a colicky baby or one that likes to wake up at 4 in the morning to start his or her day, Dana has some sleep sense suggestions for you. It is my pleasure to welcome Dana Obleman to Studio 4 to tell us more. Good morning.
Good morning.
You look bright and cheery. Obviously, you have no babies at your house.
I have children, but they sleep very well.
Did they always?
No, actually, that's how Sleep Sense got started. We had our first son and experienced a lot of sleeping challenges with him. And I can remember, coming to a point where I thought, okay, I don't think it's magically going to happen. I think there might be some steps that we need to take to encourage him to start sleeping more consolidated through the night. And that's how the whole thing came to be.
So what do you make of a newborn who comes home from the hospital and sleeps through the night? First night.
Yeah.
What's that about?
That's lucky, isn't it? Yeah, and parents will say that they got lucky. But I think some babies just naturally find the skills and the strategies they need to sleep well, despite, all the things parents are doing that can derail progress. But there are babies who just naturally find a way, start sleeping, start longer stretches, sleep through the night. But that's more rare than you would think.
Well, certainly was with my children.
Right.
So how do you improve a baby's sleep? Let's start there. And by baby, we'll say what? Newborn to 1 year? Something like that?
Well,
or how do you put it together?
Well, if you're I would separate newborns as sort of their own little entity, and I think you can start right from day one with a newborn. When I had my first son, the thought of putting him down before he was sound asleep in my arms never even occurred to me. I thought it's my job, I'm gonna rock him, pace the halls, nurse him, do all these things to get him to sleep. When really, if I would have just allowed him the opportunity to go to sleep on his own without all the extra stuff I was doing, he would have then found his way and started sleeping better and better as the weeks and months progressed, which is what I did with my second and my third, and they turned into wonderful sleepers very, very soon after birth because I knew what I was doing.
Sure.
With the other two.
So you're not saying don't rock your baby.
No.
You're saying don't do it every night or
That's right.
what?
Yeah, I mean, having a newborn sleep in your arms is one of the best feelings in the world, and so I would never want people to deprive themselves of that. But if you find that if you're doing that all the time, and what was a lovely experience is now turning into a chore with your 6-month-old that you've got to rock him for 20 minutes for every nap, sleep, night, then that's where you've sort of lost the way.
Right. Or your 4-year-old.
Right.
If they've always been rocked, they still need to be rocked to sleep.
Yeah, or it tends to change. If you've got a baby who doesn't have great sleep skills, it usually turns into a toddler that then doesn't have great sleep skills. You might not be rocking him anymore, but more likely you're laying down with him. He still needs that external support in order to sleep well.
So what about space? Small space, little crib, big crib, does it matter? Type of sheets, teddy bear in the bed, baby on the back, baby on the front.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't really matter. I think a lot of parents like to have a bassinet for the first few months just to keep that closeness with their baby. That is totally fine, and then moving into a crib. I do find that if you provide some sort of for an older baby, if you give them a little, soft toy, they can form an attachment to that, and then it just becomes easier to transition into daycare, going to grandma's house for a sleepover. Things
and when you're 12, you hide your toy.
Right, that's right.
Did you have one?
No, but my son still has one, and he's 8, so.
I had one. I had Pinky.
Yeah.
A blanket. And, we all have those stories of Dad has to drive over town when you're staying at Grandma's because you forgot Pinky.
That's true. That is true.
And you couldn't possibly sleep without Pinky, could you?
Or you could buy a couple of Pinkies that, when your baby's born, and then you have
plan.
a backup.
A backup Pinky, I like that. Or a backup bear, or, a rabbit with the fur loved right off.
That's right.
So what's the rules today about babies sleeping on their back or their front? Is there one?
Well, there is one, and the recommendation is that babies sleep on their backs. Absolutely, yeah.
If they why is that? If they choke or?
Well, yeah, the recommendation is to prevent SIDS, that babies sleeping on their back.
Sudden infant
Yes,
death syndrome.
yeah,
Back.
that is the safest way for a baby to sleep. It's on the back.
And in the room itself, do you
Yeah.
believe light, dark,
You know, I think
stimulation,
Yeah.
a little whirly thing above the head in case they wake up?
Right. You know, I think babies are just like all of us, and we tend to like our room nice and dark and cool when we sleep. So the same is true for babies. I'm not a huge fan of crib toys. I think if you're trying to send the message that the crib is for sleep, let's just, make it for sleep. Let's not, confuse a baby by putting aquariums on the side and mobiles hanging everywhere, because really the whole point of going there is to get yourself to a place where sleep comes easily and without a lot of extra stimulus.
Right. So it's a bit like adults. They say we
Yeah.
shouldn't have the television
You're
in the
right.
room. We shouldn't have a lot of books.
Yeah.
Everything that I do, we're not supposed to
That's right.
have in our room.
That's right.
Because it's for sleeping.
That's right.
Male-female differences, have you found them? How boys sleep, how girls sleep?
You know, I don't know the reason why, but I do find that I have more boys than girls that are experiencing the sleep challenges.
Okay, and what about crying?
Crying.
When to pick up, when not to pick up.
Yeah.
Even the experts
Yes,
disagree
that's right.
on this.
Yeah, it's a hot topic for sure. You know, and I always say if making changes to anyone's sleep habits would almost always be met with some protest. You know, if I came in and said, Fanny, for your own good, I'm going to get you to move to the other side of the bed, and I'm going to switch up your pillow, and I'm going to make all these changes to the way you usually get yourself to sleep, you're going to have some anxiety around that,
Sure.
even though it's for your own good. So, making a significant change to a baby or toddler's sleep strategy is going to be met with some protests. There's just no way around it.
Sure. But as you know, parents argue. Baby cries, pick up baby immediately. The dad may say, or the mom may say, let the baby cry a little bit. Baby's not in any jeopardy, but they
That's
can't
right.
talk.
That's right. Yeah. And the crux of the issue is you need to teach a baby how to develop their own strategies for sleep. So if you were always rocking and now you're going to stop that, you've got to allow that baby to find a new way. How do I get myself to sleep without the rocking? And that's going to most likely involve some crying as the baby practices. How do I get myself to sleep without you? Now, there's nothing wrong with being supportive, staying in the room, touching, stroking, shushing. You can pick up if you really felt like if I just give him a quick hug, he'll calm down and we can try again. It's fine. Although some babies, the more you pick them up, the angrier they become because they're expecting you to do something.
Well, you have to parent by the seat of your pants a bit.
That's right.
This particular baby, as you know, you have 3 children.
Yes.
And they're probably all different.
Yes, they're very different.
So you think, this baby, if I pick this baby up, perfect. If I pick that baby up,
That's right.
not so much. Do you work with parents who have twins or triplets?
Yes, I have. Yep.
So what do you do there?
Well, again, it really depends on the situation. Some people have the space where they can have 2 separate rooms. Some room share, the twins room share. Some even room share, everyone's in the same room. So really, again, anything can work as long as your main focus is making sure that these babies learn how to fall asleep on their own, so their skills become internalized instead of external. And then you can have, there's challenges with room sharing. One might wake up the other on occasion, but that's just life, and
Sure.
you got to
And
get
noise
through
in the
it.
house. I always like my kids to be around noise because they can because they can sleep through anything. Like some parents are hush, hush, hush.
That's right.
Can't take the baby to a party because the baby won't sleep, and you think, no.
Right.
Our kids were raised with a bit of chaos, and they go to sleep anywhere.
That's right. And that's what I'll say too is be mindful that someone's sleeping. I mean, do the same things you might do if your spouse was taking a nap. You're not going to vacuum right beside him. And
Unless you want him to wake up.
That's right, unless you're angry about it. Yeah, but a little bit of environmental noise is completely fine, and a baby will adjust and get used to the differences. And I find too, if a baby has great sleeping skills that are all his own or her own, then a little bit of environmental noise isn't the end of the world, right? If a siren goes by, you wake up, you go, oh, a siren, and you go back to sleep, right? It's not, oh, my night's over now. It's
well,
ruined.
babies know. They know that it's time to cry when the guests arrive. They've slept through every night. For the whole month, and then you have the big party, and the minute you put them down, then they're up again.
Or grandma's
of course
here.
They know.
Yeah.
Grandma's here. Something's happening. So going on to 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. Routine, what?
Yeah, absolutely routine. A lot of what I teach parents is about consistency and routine. You know, you want to have a nice bedtime routine that is step by step every night, same thing, no surprises, especially when you're dealing with a toddler. The more black and white the routine is, the better. You know, every night we have the bath, we get our jammies on, we read 2 books, never more. You know, we have a drink of water and we go to bed. And
you forgot the teeth.
Oh, the teeth, of course, the teeth.
No, I understand that. I had a friend whose kids, she wasn't the kind of parent that was, she loved her kids madly, but she wasn't all that attentive. And they would come with their little blankies and say, Mom, I think they're like 3.
Right.
I think it's time for us to go to bed. She'd go, okay.
Right.
Go to bed.
Right.
So they figured it out somehow.
Well, yeah. Hopefully it's not at midnight that they say this.
Could have been in that case. But that said, they do get tired and they will go to bed. But you want sleep to be a happy time a time to dream. And
absolutely. There should be no anxiety around going to bed. You should be able to acknowledge that you feel tired and know that sleep alleviates those feelings.
Okay, what about the kids who crawl into bed with you?
Right.
4 a.m.
Yes.
Sometimes 3 a.m. They're just up.
Yes. That can be tricky for sure. Again, I always look at bedtime and make sure that parents know that, you know, if you're laying down with your children at bedtime, then it's not really a surprise that they would show up somewhere through the night and want you to do that again. So making sure that they've got, you know, nice independent skills at bedtime, and that'll sort of carry through to the middle of the night. But if you get a night visitor, best thing to do is just walk them back to their bed, tuck them back in, and leave.
Right. But if you have an early riser, and some kids just are. Cartoons, what?
Oh, it's tricky.
TV in the bedroom.
Yeah. You know, we have a rule in our house that we started when our kids were around the age of 2. We put a clock in the room, a digital clock, duct tape over the minutes so all they could see was the hour, and start teaching them about the number 7. Number 7 means morning time. Number 7 means you can call for mommy. Number 7 means you can come out of your room. And to this day, they all wait patiently in their room until their clock says 7. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, and if it's not 7, you go in and say, look, it's only a 6. We have to wait till this clock says 7. And so then you make them wait.
But don't they get into trouble between 6 and 7 if they're up?
No, not usually.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you would make sure there's nothing of danger in their room that they're going to get into, but most children will wait.
Okay, and what about music? Music in the room or not?
Well,
like the lullaby, the Make Your Baby Smarter Einstein.
I always say don't bother with music because it might become a prop in the sense that your child now thinks music has to play, you know, all night. And then what if you're in a hotel or you're at grandma's house, or what if they have to share a room with somebody and that person's not going to enjoy music all night? So it's better to just not. Yeah.
Okay. And so the Sleep Sense program, people can access you online?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. Dana Obleman, she's a psychologist and head of Sleep Sense, the Sleep Sense program.